John Whiting is single-handedly one of the most fascinating entrepreneurs I've ever met across all of my events. Not only is he incredibly funny, but where he really stands out is he applies a very numeric and data-driven approach to mapping how your brain is feeling, how it impacts your business, and how you're able to understand the problems that are going on in your life and route them to the solutions in both your personal and professional life. So John's gonna come up here first. We're gonna get our minds locked in, and then we'll be able to process the rest of the presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for John? CJ, crank it up. Let's bring him up.
What's my definition of success? Listening to what your heart says.
Give Icon like the biggest ovation you could possibly have, because what it takes to put on something like this is absolutely insane. So I just want to thank all of you for being here. But I also just thank you for, Icon, your trust, throwing me on first. I found out yesterday that I was leading this off. And so that's pretty, yeah, thank you. I need all the help I can get. All right. So I appreciate that. I do not plan on letting you guys down. And, oh, that's good. I can see you. Thank you. Hi. Thank you. All right. Excellent. Okay, cool. So what I am going to cover with you, I believe, within the next 43 minutes and 42 seconds, you will see that without what I'm about to share with you, everything over the next 3 days is going to be completely useless. But if you actually implement what I'm about to share with you, it could make the entire difference between 100xing your return on investment and all of your activities that you do as a result of the next few days versus if you don't. So give me a yes if that sounds good. Yes. All right, excellent. Also, normally I have a little parental advisory sticker that I put on my presentations, but I couldn't add it. So you guys cool if I'm just kind of candid with you and I talk like we're kind of just chilling in a family room? Is that all right with you? All right, great. All right, cool. By the way, I know there was creators, entrepreneurs. Hands up if you have an online business of some kind. All right, excellent. Keep your hand up if you're doing over 10K a month, 25K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, 200K a month, $1 million a month? All right, cool. Just wanted to get a bit of a demographic. Also, dry mouth. Is it cool if I sip on some water? Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, let's do it. We'll try not to spill that on all the DJ shit. All right. 307,928,163. That is more than the entire population of the United States. That is more than the population of the UK, France, and Germany combined. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you guys feel, if you got 307 million views, give me a yes if you feel like that would improve your business. Say yes? Yes. All right, cool. 1,339,493 followers. That's how many people chose to follow a creator by the name of Garrett Garcia. Anybody ever heard of this guy, Garrett Garcia? Okay. So every single day, this audience waited for Garrett to post something. They were very much looking forward to what this dude has to say. And he wasn't just successful, that actually technically puts him in the top 0.3% of all creators on the internet. And he pretty much had what most creators are dreaming of. He had millions of followers, he had devoted fans, and he got that cool golden play button. Anybody got a play button of some kind from YouTube? Cool, a few of you guys, nice. 0. That is exactly how much money Garrett had when he found himself sleeping on the streets of Los Angeles, forcing himself to sell that golden play button just so he could feed himself. So, 307 million views, 1.3 million followers, and somehow he loses everything. Why? Is because Garrett, like millions of creators, and quite frankly, most business owners, were playing the wrong game, made a huge critical mistake. And so you guys all came here to Creator Hub to like create and distribute content. But that's not really why you're here. Creator Hub is not about content. Creator Hub is about creation of a life. Content just happens to be a little part of that. And so you're already playing this life creation game, just like you're playing this content creation game. And there's two types of creators: a reactive creator and an intentional creator. How many of you guys would like to be in a different place financially? Say yes. Yes. Anybody not? By a show of hands, anybody not? Everybody's just cool? You're cool with where you are financially? You never want to check? Right. Every single one of you want to be in a different place than you are now. And if you're not where you want to be, it's largely due to the fact that you've been creating thus far reactively, based on what the latest ad that you saw was, based on what the last YouTube video that you watched was, based on whoever the hell it is that you follow, what they told you you should be doing. How many of you guys have ever made decisions? You saw a YouTube video and you're like, implement! And then you went and did that, and you went down that road. Anybody make decisions that way occasionally? Be honest. Yes. All right, cool. That's fine. So that is what we call a reactive creator. Now, just so we're on the same page, I like to define words just to make sure that we understand each other. All creation is bringing something into existence. Cool with that? Yeah, we're on the same page? Cool. So, the real game is life creation. You are not a content creator. You're a life creator. Content is just a small part of it. We have this life. Inside of that life is this business. Inside of that business is this little department called marketing, and inside that is this content part. All right? All right, excellent. You guys are amazing. So what I'm going to share with you is 3 keys to creating a bulletproof life. How many of you guys want a bulletproof life? Say yes. Yes. All right, excellent. And we're going to talk about winning the bigger game, even if your content sucks, like mine pretty much has, like, forever. But that just goes to show it doesn't have to be amazing to create an amazing life. So I'm going to share with you a few things that are going to lead to that. First, a little disclaimer. As I share stuff, I want you to filter it through your own knowingness filter. So what's true for you is true. Just because I say it, I'm not saying you need to adopt this belief, damn it. So just take it through your own filter. I just invite you to keep an open mind, because what I'm about to share with you has completely transformed my life and hundreds of others. And as Icon introduced me, my name is John Whiting. I'm the CEO of a company called Bulletproof Entrepreneur. We work with elite 6- and 7-figure online coaches specifically to turn their revenue into actual profit that adds them to the real 2 comma club. And that is having a second comma in their bank account, not just on their Stripe screenshot. How many of you guys would like another comma in your bank account? Say yes. All right, excellent. So what we focus on is peace of mind every day. How many of you guys would like peace of mind every day? Say yes. Yes. Right. How many of you guys right now kind of don't have that and it's a little stressful? Say yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. We focus on a business that runs itself and make sure that your wealth is growing every month. And when you have those 3 things, it's really challenging to get thrown off. And we're going to talk about that, okay? Here's just a few of my clients. Anybody recognize any of these people? Ravi, I know, is speaking tomorrow. Anybody ever hear of Eli Wild? Right? Brandon Carter. Anybody follow Brandon? Yeah. King Keto. We got Dan Henry, the OG on YouTube. Anybody remember Elliot Hulse? All right. And we got one of my clients, Justin Saunders, as well. So just to give you some context, I work with kind of the higher echelon of people. This isn't your grandmother's mindset type shit. So, a little bit about me. What I'm about to share with you, where that little gray arrow is pointing, that's where I learned the shit that I'm about to share with you. That was back in 2017, late 2017. From 2011 to 2017, I never made more than $20K a year. That graph there is tracking net worth over time, meaning accumulation of wealth. Now, I don't share that because that's like a hard flex. Okay, I don't share that for any other reason. Maybe that's a big number to you. Maybe that's a small number. Do we have anybody here who's a net worth millionaire? Okay, cool. Well, you guys are in for a fucking treat. So, how many of you guys would like to grow your actual liquid net worth? Say yes. Yes. Okay, sweet. So that's what we're going to cover. And simultaneously, being able to do cool shit. All right, the big game. Let's do it. How we approach life. So content is just a part of this. But how do we approach life? Here's my philosophy that I take my clients through, that I live by. It doesn't have to be yours. Guys cool with that? Say yes? Yes. All right, dope. We first have to decide where we want to go. Not bad. Then we have to decide and understand exactly where we are. Whoa, nice. And then we have to reverse engineer it just like a GPS on your phone. So the components of this, there's a few of them. We have a vehicle, your business. We have the driver, you, your mental performance. We have your destination. Now, this is where it gets a little different. How many of you guys have a goal of, let's say, getting to 100K a month? Say yes. Yes. That's not a fucking goal, and we're going to cover that a little bit later. The destination is what I call your lifestyle and your freedom number, and we're going to break that down because most of you are trying to navigate to a speed, and that's like saying my goal is 100 miles an hour. That's not a goal, okay? Motivation, why are we going there? Speed, that's how fast we're going, that's your monthly income. Fuel efficiency is your profit margin and how much effort does it take to generate that profit. And then we have the GPS, your actual tracking system. Okay, these are the components of any good old-fashioned family fun road trip, all right? So, most people are creating reactively. And so what does that mean? Their vehicle's broken, the driver's distracted, their destination is vague, that little green thing is meant to be a very vague, I want to go someplace better. How many of you guys know somebody who just says, you know, I'm just trying to improve? That's not a fucking goal. It's very vague. If you plugged into your GPS, I want to go someplace nice, would your GPS be able to navigate? No, it would have to get very clear on an exact coordinate. Interesting. Most people are motivated just enough to get out of the shithole situation that they're in, motivated away from pain. Anybody ever gotten like to where you made more money than you've ever made and you got comfortable and then you came back down and you started riding this income roller coaster? Say yes if you ever experienced that. Yeah. That's because you're pain motivated. Speed is usually really fast, got a new idea, implement a crazy big spike, and then we fall off. That's usually the speed. Fuel efficiency, awful. GPS, non-existent. And so this is what most people do in terms of their navigation. They just kind of fuck around at the same level, going really fast, but not really getting anywhere. Anybody ever experience this? All right, cool. We're going to do some stuff to hopefully move the needle on that, and I'll do my best to be concise. Intentional creation, rich people. How many of you guys want to be rich? Yeah, not bad. Me too. Unbreakable vehicle, driver is focused and calm. We have the exact destination. We are motivated towards that destination, long-term trip. We have a consistent speed, very efficient, and we can see where we are and where we're going. That little snapshot I showed you of the net worth tracking, we're going to talk about that. But how many of you guys know down to the penny your net worth and your income, and you could just say it just like that right now? All right, not too many of you guys. So, our focus today, we're going to focus on the driver, the destination, and the tracking system. We don't have time to focus on all of these. So let's go into the driver. Which of these would you trust to drive your family around? Drunk or sober? All right, great. So far, so good. Which of these drivers would you trust to drive your family around? Stressed or calm? Right. So when you're stressed, it's like being mentally drunk. You guys with me on this analogy? All right, cool. We make better decisions when we're calm than when we're stressed. So, mentally drunk, fear, frustration, doubt, guilt, reactivity, hoping it works out. Will anybody watch this? Why isn't this working? Am I good enough? Does this suck? I should be posting more. I'm not spending enough time with my family. All of these things. Anybody ever experience these? Right, so this is what causes reactions. And when you're on track and one of these things occurs, you make a decision that makes you veer off track. Does this make sense? All right, cool. So when you're mentally sober, you're clear, confident, focused, calm, and intentional and causative. You know where you're going, you know what you got to do, you got it, you get it done, and you're not worried about it. And when you do that, you stay on track. Pretty straightforward. So before we do anything else, we need to sober up the driver, wouldn't you say? Okay, I agree. Nice. To do that, we need to understand the driver, and we need to understand the mind. All right, so everybody pay attention. This is my best, refining this over the last 6 years, explanation of how this shit works. So, first, who are you? You are not a human body. If you have your appendix removed, you're no less who you were than before you had your appendix removed. Does anybody here refer to themselves as I'm elbow, or I'm head, or I'm foot? Anybody? No, you say my elbow, my head, my foot. So your body is something that you have, not something that you are. And you instinctively know this, which is why you talk that way. If you met somebody at the little mixer this evening and they're like, hi, I'm foot. Like, you just be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, right? So the first step is we need to understand the components. So if you're not your body, are you your mind? Well, let's understand what the mind is. So the mind is a memory bank containing mental image pictures. They're all memories of everything that you've ever experienced. Your mind is constantly recording everything as it is right now. Just like how many of you guys can remember 10 minutes ago and you can visualize that real quick in your mind? Yeah, that's recorded in your mind. You decided to call that up and look at it. Thumbs up if that makes sense, yes? All right, cool. So if we can see those pictures in our memory without it actually being there, then who is it that's actually looking at the pictures? It is the real you. You are an infinitely intelligent, conscious being. It's the part of you that's aware of being aware, the part of you that runs this body, that looks at the mind, the driver, so to speak. Okay? And so, you are the intentional consciousness. And as Alan Watts said, any Alan Watts fans out there? All right, cool. Alan Watts, I'm not going to try to do his wonderful English accent, but he says, the real deep down you is not a puppet which life pushes around. The real deep down you is the whole universe. Okay? So, let's at least move forward based on that understanding that you are much bigger than that body that is sitting in that chair. Cool? All right, cool. So, you have a body, you have a mind, but you are the driver. So, in order to control this mind of ours so that we are not reactive, we need to kind of unpack this a little bit further, because just knowing that isn't enough. So, the mind, as I'm going to define it, is this collection of mental image pictures, but they all have an energy or a charge to them. And so, the definition of energy is a potential of motion or power. It comes from forcing a space between terminals like a battery. Okay, and a battery has two terminals, positive, negative. So everything is being recorded. Every smell, sight, taste, touch, sound, it's all getting stored. Okay? Right now, I want you guys to close your eyes and recall the last time you had a lemon and just really get that flavor, that sour, get it until just really taste it. And give me your hands up once your mouth starts to water just a little bit. Right? Cool. All right, you can open your eyes. So, all you did is call that up, and it stimulated that sensory perception. And that's all that's happening. Now, you did that causatively just now, right? So what happens is, when we have a painful event, it tends to stick in the mind. And so the moments that are highly negatively emotional, even minorly negatively emotional, the ones that we're like, oh, that's not that bad, but kind of fuck you, right? You know those, right? It's like, I'm over it, right? Those ones, those still stick, despite your desperate attempt to try to explain it away. And so they stick because at that moment that that event occurred, that event had an imbalance of perception, meaning you saw more negative in that event than you did positive. And so that sticks. And so what happens is, all the time, 24/7, your mind is constantly scanning its environment, trying to match up what's going on here versus all the past events that kind of appear kind of like this one, okay? How many of you guys, this is the first ever time you've heard somebody speak as an authority on a subject? No, none of you. So you all have past experiences of authorities on subjects. How many of you guys have ever been disappointed, let down, or downright fucking scammed by an authority on a subject? Say yes. Right. So right now, you're looking at me going, I wonder if this guy's going to do the same bullshit to some degree. You guys follow me? That's just what the mind is doing, okay? And so as an example, anybody ever experienced somebody that has a completely irrational outburst of some kind? Say yes? Yeah. So here's an example I like to use. Girl's 3 years old. She's out on her front lawn playing. She gets bit by a dog. She's on green grass in front of a white picket fence. Her mom's screaming. Mom has brown hair and the teeth of the dog, and all of this is a perception in this event. Fast forward years later, she gets married. They're at Home Depot. Husband goes, hey, what do you think if we get a white picket fence? What the fuck do we need a white picket fucking fence for? Like, anybody ever hear something like that? Yeah? And he goes, Jesus Christ, what the fuck was that? Well, it's because she had a reaction that she wasn't even conscious of. And what happens is, I use the analogy of drunk goggles. Anybody ever put the drunk goggles on, like when you were in high school or whatever, to like simulate, being drunk? That's what happens, okay? That's what causes your perception of reality to be skewed. Because a white picket fence is just a white picket fence. It doesn't require that type of reaction. Does that make sense? Say yes. All right, cool. Great job. This is why Mr. Warren Buffett says if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. Is because when you have an emotional reaction, you will create a situation reactively. In other words, you will veer off track reactively. Anybody ever done this? Yeah, it's okay. We have a solution. Now, real quick, how do you know if you're mentally sober or you're mentally drunk? It's pretty fucking simple. You look at your results. You look at where are you. If you're on track, you're probably sober. If you don't even have a track, well, you're probably not. So, mentally drunk, perception creates dumb actions, which creates undesired or, to keep it simple, bad results. Mentally sober, smart actions, good results. So how do we sober up? We balance this mind of ours. We need to understand two laws. The law of polarity states that everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. All right? But that means that all of these traits are two sides of the same coin by the definition of this universal principle. If you want to read more about those, there's a book called the Kybalion that those are listed in. These are like ancient universal truths. Okay. So that means in every cold, there's a hot. In every hate, there's a love. In every fear, there's a courage, and so on and so forth. They're all two sides of the same coin. So let's take temperature as an example. We have hot and cold. How many of you guys, it's pretty hot out today, but if it was 100 degrees out, in general, would you say that's hot? Right? Okay, so we would put that over here on hot. Everybody agree that that's where we should put it on the spectrum, right? Well, Venus is 864 degrees Fahrenheit. And so now all of a sudden, Earth is 8 times colder. So we can't very well put them next to each other, can we? No. Well, so now everybody agree that Venus is now hot and Earth is now cold at 100 degrees? Okay, cool. Well, the sun is 9,941 degrees Fahrenheit. That means Venus is pretty fucking cold now, and Earth is almost frozen. And you can go on and on and on with this, because the truth is, they're just temperatures. That's all it is. They're not hot, they're not cold. It just depends on how you look at it. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So it's all relative, as our boy Einstein said, and it's based on your perspective. There's one more law you got to understand. It's the law of conservation of energy, and it states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Rather, it can only be transformed or transferred from one form to another. That means that based on the law of conservation of energy, there must be equal sides in everything. You just have to look for it. It's there. It exists in real time, right now. Okay? So, the truth is balanced, centered, objective, looking at objective reality. Okay? So, how many of you guys have ever been dumped? Right, sucked. Initially, you were like, fuck, this sucks. All is lost. I've been betrayed. I'm alone. I lost love. I lost sex. I lost this thing. But how many of you guys who have been dumped are now with somebody who's better? Okay. Well, now all of a sudden, maybe that getting dumped caused you to self-reflect, self-improve. You have a new courage to go out there and actually get the person that you deserve. You are able to connect with the people that maybe you neglected while you were off dating that person that dumped you. And so the point is everything has two sides, equal and opposite at all times. The problem is we only look at one side. Anybody ever been blindsided by something? Maybe you were surprised about how a client acted, or how maybe even getting the dumped, maybe that was blindsided. Anybody? Right, it's because you're only looking at one fucking side. Blindsided. So what's interesting is just like 5th grade math class, when you balance out the equation, you get to cancel it out. And those go away, and all that's left is this neutral state of objectivity. And that is the place of calm, objective decision making. So when that's all that's left is the real you. Make sense? Cool. Now, based on that, how many of you guys want to make sure you default to more quote-unquote positive thinking so that you can create more positive results? All right, cool. Well, positivity is actually a fucking trap. Because the truth is balanced. Anybody ever experienced the really emotional, it's like an emotional roller coaster, it's an income roller coaster, right? Like you said earlier? Well, this is why. The harder you swing to the, oh boy, I'm gonna start a business, it's gonna be great. I bought this $1,000 course on it, and I'm gonna have $10K a month by next month. Anybody ever get that one? Say yes. That's where I fucking started, right? And then, oh, it got really fucking hard. What happened? Scam. No. You just had a blind-sided perception. And this is why anybody ever hear the advice you must live with passion or follow your passion? Passion, by definition, is a strong and barely controllable emotion. Interesting. If we break that word down, pass ion, meaning back and forth. An ion is an atom or a group of atoms that has acquired a net electric charge by gaining or losing one more electrons. That means you're literally charging yourself up to one side, and what's going to happen, based on the laws that we learned, you're going to swing all the way to the fucking other side and get fucked real fast. So, that's like being mentally coked up. Let's go! Anybody ever meet that person, by the way? Like, hi, this is going to be great. Are you excited for the event? Whoa! Anybody ever meet that person and say yes? If you're here, just relax a little bit. It's okay. I don't know if... All right, yeah. They got to calm down just a little bit. It's okay. It's all right. So this is mentally coked, impulsive. Let's go fast. I want this. I need this. I love this. We can't lose. That's a really dangerous fucking position to be in. And it's what causes what I call an infatuation, the state of being carried away by an unreasoned passion. Let's go. Carried away. I don't feel confident in that strategy personally. And that is the anatomy of shiny object syndrome. What I'm doing is kind of hard, but I'm making progress, I'm on track, but that seems a lot better and easier. Let's go fucking do that. Anybody ever have that experience? Say yes if you've had that fucking experience. Yeah, at least 15 times already today, probably. That's what happens every time you scroll and you see an ad to, stop scrolling, you need to do this. Stop doing the shit you're doing, that's retarded. Okay, it all works. By the way, I'm not gonna go into that one, but every strategy works. It's the execution of it and staying on track. The only reason you get off track is because you're either mentally drunk or mentally coked up. So, which driver would you trust to drive your family around? The drunk guy, the coked guy, the sober guy? How about the stressed guy, the passionate guy, or the calm guy? Right. So, when you're on the left, you're reactive. When you're on the right, you're reactive. The truth is in the middle. That's where intentional creation comes in. So, mentally coked, impulsive actions, bad results. Mentally drunk, dumb actions, bad results. Mentally sober, smart actions, good results. And so intentional creation happens when you balance your mind and you don't get pulled off track. Reactive creation happens when you don't, you ignore it, and you hope that the reactive emotions that you have don't fucking ruin your life. Guessing and hoping is not a strategy. That is out of control. And so you're creating reactively from the anxious, frustrated, infatuated perspective. The destination. These last two are going to be relatively quick, and I have 12 minutes. Anybody ever see Alice in Wonderland? Say yes? Alice goes in the forest, and she goes and finds this cat. She's like, oh, would you tell me, please, which way should I go from here? Well, that depends on good deal on where you want to get to. Anybody, that's a fucking trippy ass movie. Just real quick, between us, anybody watched the cartoon version of that recently? You should. You don't even have to like take any substances to enjoy it. Okay, back to this, sorry. Well, I don't much care where I end up. Well, then it doesn't matter which way you go. So we need to define a destination. How we do that, given that we live on a financial planet, we need to identify how we want to live. What do I want to do? What do I want to drive? Where do I want to live? How do I want to spend my time? We have to identify that, and then we need to know how much does it fucking cost. Anybody here do stuff that doesn't cost money, like that allows you to live your ideal lifestyle? If so, find me, because I need to know what the fuck you're doing. I have to pay for shit. Who here has to pay for shit? Say yes. Cool. Well, there's a way to get the shit that we want, and we have to understand some math. Now, before you all black out on math, how many of you guys identify as not a numbers person? Be honest. All right, that's a reactive thing based on your 4th grade math trauma. That shit needs to be cleared, because if you're not, that's like, oh, I'm not a GPS person. I just fucking... Oh, okay, dude, like, fucking fine, but like, I'm not going with you, okay? So we establish what we call your freedom number, and that is the number that you need to live your ideal lifestyle forever, even if your business shits the bed. So we need to establish that, and we need to establish why we're doing this, and those are the components of a destination from what we do. It's how I've done the shit I've done. So how do we want to live? How much does it cost? What do I need to accumulate in order to draw down on that? Anybody here ever hear of the investment rule called the 4% drawdown rule? Anybody ever hear that? Few of you? Okay. It's the amount of liquid net worth that you need invested, that if it grows on an average at 8%, you can withdraw 4%, and it continues to grow in perpetuity. So my cost of ideal lifestyle, I don't live this way right now, but my ideal cost of lifestyle, pricing it all out, is about $1 million a year. So my freedom number, in order to draw down $1 million a year at 4%, my freedom number is $25 million. Okay? Make sense? Right, so that's a target. How much I make is a speed. How much I keep is the efficiency. So, again, 100K a month is not a goal, it is a speed. Which driver would you trust to drive your family safely around? The get there safely guy, or the I just want to go fast Ricky Bobby? Right. How about, who would you trust to run your finances? We're going to build wealth, or we're going to hit 100K months, $1 million months, $10 million a month. I know so many fucking people that are doing 100K, 200K, 500K, even $1 million a month, that I'm verifiably richer than. I've seen under the hood of $1 million businesses, and I see their cash flow, and I see how amazing everybody thinks that they are, and they're stressed out, they're not keeping what they're making, they have surprise tax bills that they don't know how the fuck they're gonna pay them. Anybody ever been near that boat? Yeah, not a fun place. That's what happens when you get infatuated with the speed. Dangerous road trip. Finally, GPS, your tracking system. Pearson's law states that which is measured improves, and that which is measured and reported back improves exponentially. Or as my client, Brandon Carter, says, if you're not tracking, you're slacking. Yeah. All right. Every successful business makes decisions based on data, not emotion or gut. I will say this again. Every successful business makes decisions based on data, not emotion or gut. There is 0 Fortune 500 quarterly board meetings where the CEO walks in and says, you know what, guys, it feels like we're not doing that well. I think we should cut our ad spend in half. Well, we're looking at the numbers here, Bob, and we actually have a 10x growth over the last quarter. Oh, I guess we better not do that then. Thank fucking God for data, right? That's how they make decisions. Imagine quarterly board meetings. I don't know how you feeling. I don't know. I'm pretty stressed. Like, I'm not sure really. It's confusing. Like, of course it fucking is. It's like being lost in the middle of the Amazon rainforest with no GPS and like trying to get someplace better. It's not going to happen. That is reactive creation. This is very vague. You're at someplace I don't want to be. I want to get to someplace better because I should. I got to go there fast. Hope it works out. Anybody know anybody who implements this strategy? All right. This is what causes this bullshit at the same level. That's what causes it. That's all you would do in the middle of the Amazon with no direction, no GPS system. You just be like, I don't know, I fucking hope maybe this tree over here, that looks like a nice tree. My favorite color is purple. That has a purple flower, that must be a sign. Like, that's what people are doing largely in their life decisions. If you're in your first time going up on a flight instruction and the flight instructor's next to you, you're sitting there, it's your first time up there, and you hear and feel this loud thud. Your gut reaction is going to say, something's fucking wrong, right? Well, thank God the homie's next to you and going, don't worry, that was just the landing gear. We're good. So the sweet spot is when you have enough of a reality on your data where you actually objectively are, and it matches your gut feeling. But until you have an objective understanding of if I do this, then that happens, a direct cause and effect relationship, objectively, not what it feels like we're doing better. Well, if you're objectively not, fuck your feelings. Because we can't make decisions based on where we feel like we are. We have to make decisions based on where we actually are. I had a client that I onboarded last week. He actually just got accepted into his second time on American Ninja Warrior, which is cool. He's like a fitness coach guy. And so he's like, yeah, it's all over the place. I'm like, well, let me ask you this. How many grams of protein do you need to eat today to make sure you're on track to your fitness goals? Without missing a beat, 153 grams. I'm like, cool. How much do you need to spend in ads today, and how many clients do you need to acquire this week to be on track towards your profit goal this month? Oh, well, what happened was... I'm like, and he's shredded. He's in incredible shape. I'm like, that's why your body is shredded and your business is not. So, we need to be intentional. We need to be hyper-specific. Just like if you're in a certain physical shape and you want to get to another certain physical shape. My client, Brandon, if you follow Brandon, you know that he's got this little Louis V over-the-shoulder bag thing. He carries the scale where he weighs every single piece of food and tracks his macros, and he's been doing that for 20 years, and he tracks all of his workouts. We go to Capital Grill, slaps the ribeye on the fucking scale, the whole thing. Every fucking time. Every time. He knows exactly how much he's eating. And if you follow the guy, follow King Keto. There you go, Brandon. Some more to add to his millions of followers. He is one of the most shredded guys on the planet because he tracks. So if your business is not that way, you need to track. And more importantly, if your life is not that way, because your business is there to fuel your life, we need to know what is your freedom number so that you can live like a baller, however that is to you, even if your business shits the bed. So we need to stay on track. There's two things that can pull us off track. Negative emotion, really positive emotion. And so to create a badass life, a bulletproof life, we need these three things. We need a clear mind, we need a clear destination, and we need to track our progress. So that is how I did this. That is how I created this life for my family, retired my wife. We have a nanny. We bought a new $1.5 million house a couple years ago. It's like a little mini resort that I don't really have to leave. I built a dope-ass dream office. And I did it while simultaneously growing liquidity. Without doing it, I've never done $1 million in a month. Okay? So, that's how my clients, by the way, implementing how we do this, grow on an average of 78% in their first 90 days. Just by getting clear on where they are, where they're going, and reverse engineering. So the truth is, you're not a content creator. You're a life creator. Content is just a small part of it. Most people, and based on the lackadaisical walls that I got of this room, most people are reactively creating. That's okay. We need to become an intentional creator. As Jim Rohn, anybody here know who Jim Rohn is? Yeah. He says, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. So it's time to get intentional about creating the life that you actually want, because nothing that you learn this weekend, the snazziest bullshit strategies and tactics and all that shit, will not work. You will not be able to execute on them to the degree necessary to actually stay on track if you keep shiny objecting. So you're going to be riddled with shiny objects over the next 3 days. You need to be mindful of this, otherwise you will get triggered by an infatuation and it will pull you off track, and your mind will convince you that this is different, this is the exception. It's a fucking lie. Success is pretty fucking boring. Anybody ever hear that advice? Say yes? Yeah. This is title of YouTube video. This is boring, but it will make you rich. That's what this is. Fundamentals are boring. Was that helpful? Was that a good way to start this? Yes, we did it. Told you, Icon. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend.